Hello, hello. Just getting started here. I realize I'm a little off center, but that's because my video capture is not working. I asked if I should do video capture, but it's not working for me. So we'll do the TV here, and hopefully I won't do something on the side that we can't see. Yeah, so say hello. We're getting going. Looks like YouTube is going, and Restream is going. So it should be in all the places. ADCC, hope your week's going well. Hello, Wa9A. 9oni? I don't know. Hi, DCD. And I think Tyeth was chatting earlier, asking stuff too. Yeah, the problem is I didn't move my keyboard, so I'm like comfortably here. But when I'm talking, I can scooch over a little bit. Okay, I think I did everything. Hello, Beata. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Scott. I think you can hear me, which is good. I work for Adafruit on CircuitPython. Adafruit is an open source hardware and software company based out of New York City. I work remotely for them, so here I'm in currently sunny Seattle. It's a little hot in here, so I may actually end up having to turn the AC on. I just turned it off, trying to get the temp in here down a little bit. I do have like long pants on, which apparently I don't need today. The high's like 56, and I'm sitting in the sun. So CircuitPython is a version of Python designed for microcontrollers, which are little tiny computers. They're super inexpensive. And what we do is we bring the Python programming languages, which is great for beginners, from the desktop, Linux, Windows, Mac world down into these tiny computers. And the way they work is, or the way that you program on them is you plug them into your computer and they show up as a USB drive. There's a code.py file on there and you edit that. There are some other ways to do programming now. You can do it over the web or Bluetooth or serial as well. But the kind of like de facto way to do it that's available on most boards, but not all, is through the USB. So this is a deep dive. I do these. I usually do these every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific till 4 p.m. Pacific for 2 hours. My oldest kid is out of daycare next Friday, so I'm not going to stream next Friday. And the 2 Fridays after that, I'm in Tokyo, Japan, or on my way home. I come back the 3 Fridays from now, I guess. Woo. It's coming soon. So Tim, aka FoamyGuy, will be doing deep dives the next 3 weeks. And he ordered a FruitJam today, so you can expect him to be working on some FruitJam stuff, I think, for the next 3 deep dives, which should be cool. Tim's done a lot of gaming stuff, so I'm cool. I'm very excited to see what he comes up with for it. If you want to support me and Tim and folks that work on CircuitPython for Adafruit, you can go to adafruit.com and purchase it there. DCD says internal only orders. Yes, this is a prototype and it will need to be, there is going to be a revision before it's available in the shop. If you want to pretend that you have a FruitJam, you could get a Metro and do pretty much the same thing. The one thing that the Metro doesn't have is a hub. You could actually order the hub chip breakout if you really wanted to too, but any USB hub could work off of the Metro as well. So you could fake it with a Metro RP2350 if you wanted to, but all-in-one is not going to be available in the next few weeks probably, because it needs to be revised and tested and stuff first. Turns out one of the things I found that needs to be revised, or that I think should be revised, I don't do hardware, is right now the USB power is not 0 or 5 volts. If you actually try to disable the 5-volt rail to the USB ports, it's like 3.5. There's some leakage going on that I think should be fixed. But hardware design is up to Lamore, Lady Ada. I just give my feedback. So there will be I know that she's planning on doing at least one revision, so I'm hoping that that will be fixed in the revision before it gets in people's hands. But yeah, you could basically do this with an RP2350. In fact, when I was giving my feedback for the Metro RP2350, I was like, hey, you have these 2 extra pins. Why didn't you mark them as dedicated USB host pins? People have to solder to them, which is not as convenient as with the FruitJam, but they are dedicated, and you could use that for USB host as well. And there's an HSTX, which is also dedicated, that you can get an adapter to go from the ribbon cable to a DVI plug. So yes, FruitJam, I still have mine quite wired up a lot, so it's kind of hard for me to show, although my bench cam might be working here. So if I point to it, so this is the FruitJam here. It's very, very covered in wires because I've got, this is ground and then debug UART output and then a bunch of logic output. I was doing a lot of debugging on USB host using pins to tell me kind of what state things are in. So that's what you see here. And then I've got 2 test point things put in 2 holes that are the D plus and the D minus lines of the USB. The USB lines that go between the RP2350 and the hub chip, which has been great. And I realized I hadn't done this before, but this is a Beagle 480. So this is a USB debugger. We've talked about this before. This is the Syntheon as well, but I haven't used the Syntheon enough to build my confidence in it. So I was using the Beagle. One thing I realized that I didn't see in the Syntheon UI, but the Beagle really does well, is they show you when there's errors. So like they have like red things that mark particular packets, and they tell you what type of error that they are there. And that was really, really helpful for debugging. Along with, this is the Saleae. This is a Logic Pro 16. So this is a logic analyzer. And I realized that I'm using these little clips on the USB lines. I don't know if I could show you. Here's a clip that's not plugged in. So clips like this, they're kind of hard to hook onto, but there's actually, you can plug into the clips in the back in 2 spots. So I actually have 1 clip and it's plugged into both the Beagle and the Saleae. So I could get Saleae captures and Beagle captures for the same stuff that's happening on the USB bus. Most of the start of the week was me figuring out, like debugging that stuff. It's the lowest levels of USB host, and maybe I should show some of that, but I don't. I'm kind of like past it. I'm in happy land where I'm using things. This clip that I showed is the clip that came with the Saleae. And in fact, it's got, let me switch product mode. So this clip has Saleae on it, but I think you can get generic ones as well. They just came with the logic analyzer. And then the test points, they are from Adafruit. So let's go to the browser. I've got this up. And adafruit.com. And I see your question, Bob. I'll answer you in just a second. These small PCB test points, I have a bunch of these, and I just put these in the pin header holes and did not solder them, and they've been working okay. Yeah, Pudmakes Headphone says, FruitJam looks awesome, but is it out of stock? Or am I looking at the wrong page on your site? It is not available yet. We are still validating the hardware and tweaking some things before it goes into a production run. So the work that I'm doing is trying to make sure that it's good when you get it in your hands. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of, like I've been making sure that the USB host works well enough. And I've been pretty happy kind of at the tail end of this week that I've gotten things in a good spot. There's been a lot of like detail work, and if you want to see that detail work, you could look at like my if you just go tannew on GitHub, and there's one more USB thing I want to do before I will revise the FruitJam definition in the CircuitPython repo. This is some of my work. So at the bottom level, we use RP2 PIOs to do the transmit and the receive at the like USB packet level. It is not perfect, and I've tweaked it a little bit here, but it's been working relatively well. There's still one bug where we open endpoints, but we never close them. So like if you open enough endpoints, you just run out and it just doesn't work. You just have to do a reset right now. But I talked to TAC about it last night. TAC also is paid by Adafruit, but they kind of work almost exclusively on tinyusb, which is the USB stack that we're using here too. So yeah, I've been pretty happy with it. So I've been making this game better. This is kind of my test demo game. And I want to show you some stuff. But first, ADCC says, what drove the decision to not run picodvi on Core 1? On the RP2350, you don't need a separate core. That's the answer. So on the RP2040, picodvi uses Core 1 to convert pixels to TMDS symbols. So Pud makes headphones. Thank you. Awesome. Can't wait. You rock. Adafruit is amazing. We'll pick up a few when it's available. Yeah, sign up. The reason that it's listed on the shop is so that people can at least get their emails in to be notified when they're available. And it also informs us as to like how many people are interested, and kind of like we can sort by priority on that too. So picodvi is the DVI output from the RP2s. On the RP2040, the conversion from the frame buffer pixels to TMDS symbols. TMDS is the encoding of bits on the wire for DVI. I forget what it stands for. TMDS. Not that. Transition minimized differential signaling. USB does something kind of similar to this too. So the method is a form of 8 bits, 10-bit encoding. So when you're transmitting TMDS, if you want to write 8 bits, it actually transmits 10 bits over the wire. And so on the RP2040, the Core 1 is used to fill a TMDS encoded buffer that gets then output via PIO at the speed that you need to produce the DVI signal. Now the RP2350, and I don't know how much people realize this, but they have this a new peripheral in the 2350, one of the only few new things in there. It's called HSTX. It's for high-speed transmit. It can do a couple key things. One, it can do this conversion from pixels to TMDS for you, which is why we don't need Core 1. And it also can do double data rate. So whereas with the RP2040, we have to clock the whole system higher in order to get our pixel clock. With RP2350, if you choose a resolution that's like 250 to 300 megahertz, like bit clock, I guess, not pixel clock, then you can do it without overclocking, which we're doing it without overclocking. So yeah, the answer is we don't need it on the RP2350. We can do DVI output without using the second core. There's one small piece of work that is done for the DVI transmit, which is like when a frame is done, it calls an interrupt handler, and that interrupt handler kind of has to reset stuff for the next frame of video. But which is why there was a Jeff did a fix that makes that interrupt handler run even when interrupts are disabled. So we we explicitly put it in RAM. We can always run it. We can run that even when interrupts are disabled. What he was seeing was that when writing Flash, we actually disable interrupts. he was seeing that when we write flash, it actually flickered the video. And so Jeff fixed that to make it not flicker. So that small piece of work, that interrupts per frame, can happen even when interrupts are off. David asks, why wasn't a max 3421 not put on the FruitJam and instead of using PIO? Just because it's possible by software? Could the RP2350 have done other stuff with PIO, or anyway you have enough PIO? So adding the max chip is an additional cost to the device, to the board. So if we can make it work, so this is kind of like where we're at right now, which is like, if we can make it work without it, great. We'll put a hub on or whatever instead. And it looks like it's working well enough to me. I was just realizing something else about it, but like we can make the software better, and I'm excited. This is a chance for us to really make usbhost better in CircuitPython. And the person who does the PIco-PIO-DVI stuff, this person, sekigon-gonnoc or whatever, they actually did a change, I don't know, a few months ago that reduced the footprint down to a single PIO. So you can now do usbhost with a single PIO. It's completely full. So PIOs have 4 state machines, and the state machines have a shared 32 instruction slots. It's completely full, but at least like you have that one. So if you do that on RP2040, then the second PIO is free. And on the 2350, there's 3 sets of PIO, so you have 2 more PIO that you can use. So yeah, USB as a protocol is meant to be pretty robust. So some of the stuff that we've been tweaking in tinyusb and in PIO-USB is like, what do we do when like a packet? So packets with data in USB land have CRC codes that validate that it was received correctly. So like if that fails because the PIO didn't quite like sample the line at the right time or whatever, like we should be able to retry and try again. Yeah, so like making tinyusb more robust is still in the cards. Another bug that I have found or have seen happen that I don't know if TAC fixed it yet, but what was happening is that so there's a process called enumeration that happens when you plug a device in, so when you plug a device in, it decides like, oh, what speed is that device, and let me give it an address, and some other stuff. So every device when you plug it in is address 0, and then pretty quickly the host is supposed to say, hey, you're address 1. And I was finding I had this happen to me a couple times where if you plug it in, you say, hey, you're address 1, and the device hears you correctly, so it acknowledges you back, but you don't hear the acknowledgement. The device has switched addresses, but you don't know it, and then you fail and fail and fail and fail. So I suggested to TAC that when we retry enumeration, we should actually reset, like if it's a hub, the port that it's connected to, or the root port. ADCC says, I'm guessing that means that usbhost and picodvi can't work concurrently on the RP2040. That is the case. On the RP2040, you can't do picodvi and usbhost because you're both using the resources of the second core. I don't know if there's extra CPU cycles for the like TMDS encoding. In theory, you could maybe time share that core for both of them. But the PIO USB host is really like, it's managing the whole frame of USB transactions. Interlacing with that would be kind of tricky. It's the second core for PIO USB host is really acting like a USB peripheral. It's saying like, I don't know if you look at the code here. So and I don't have the book right here, but so if we look ports, my brain is gone. Common HAL, USB host, port. So this is where the core 1 program lives. So core 1 main, and we're setting up systick, and then we literally just loop, and we do one host frame. If there's a task that's waiting for us, then we tell the other core that, hey, like you got work to do, which normally an interrupt would do. And then we just wait. We wait for, so USB frames are once a millisecond, so 1,000 times a second. And you send a startup frame packet and then any other things that you want to do during that frame. So yeah, that makes me think. I don't know, there's definitely lots of optimization that we could do here. But how long you're actually busy doing the host frame is like dependent on how busy your USB bus is. And then like TMDS encoding DVI stuff is not trivial either. David says, any practical use for the EYESPI, or is the work concentrated on the HDMI, on the DVI? I haven't tested the EYESPI. It's all display I/O under the hood, so I don't think it should matter too much. My work has been on picodvi to just support different resolutions. But I think Lady Ada wanted the EYESPI so that you could make an all-in-one device as well with it. Okay, so I'm playing around. So shout out first to Cup Nooble, whose Discord I have now joined. I don't know, I guess you can't see it on the stream that I joined their Discord. They are still working on stuff, which is cool. Oh, and I just saw this switching, this UI switcher thing too. I like the trick you did for the simple text computer where you used two RP2040 feathers, one for USB and the other for DVI. I haven't seen that. That wasn't, I don't think that was me, was it? Anyway, so shout out to Cup Nooble for putting these assets on itch.io. I have a soft spot, and I said this last time, I have a soft spot for Stardew Valley, which is a game where you farm. So you like till the earth and you plant some seeds and the seeds grow. I've shown this demo before, but I've improved it a bit. So I've got one of these. So this is just a generic Super Nintendo-like controller. It's got USB for power, but then it comes with these little dongles. So it's 2.4 gigahertz of some variety between the two. So you plug the dongle in. It looks just like a wired USB gamepad, except it's wireless. So I can hit start and the light turns on, and now I can walk around. I don't know if you can hear it. So I can dig, and I've made the digging better. Oh, let me switch so you can see. I know it's not captured, but so now I'm able to kind of like dig the dirt better. Last time I showed this, it was just like the tile that you were on just turned to gray and it was like a sharp line. But the asset pack that this Cup Nooble person has made has all these different variations of like skinny stuff. There's a, let me find, there's a good download sprout. I think maybe I did show this. So this is a kind of an explainer. Oh, and now you can't see my desktop. So this is an explainer they have in the pack. So they have this bitmap of like how the tiles are connected to one another, to basically tell you like which one goes where. So here they're placing like the subtiles where I'm kind of doing it a little differently. I think I'm doing it right though. I guess you could make more out of this. Can the camera focus on the TV? Probably. I don't know how to lock the focus though. Then you could do skinny plots. So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, the tile itself is still all dirt, and then the tiles around it get impacted by it. And yeah, sorry, the capture is not working. If you have display.io code, you should be able to run this. You might have to tweak it for what your inputs are, but like there's nothing, like it's using usbhost for gamepad, but there's nothing inherently limiting to the FruitJam for this. Yeah, so I took this bitmap, and in my code now, it's getting larger and larger. So the thing I'm actually working on is I want to do a menu. I want to be able to switch between different things without needing my computer, like different games. So the thing that I want to work on today is actually a menu system. So I now have this as CircuitPy chime garden code.py, and it's now 383 lines long, which is still not too bad. Spoilers. Spoilers. Let me show you the spoilers. I added support for a second player, so I'm going to push that in. I don't know why it makes that sound if you heard the sound. I'm going to Control-C and then Control-D to start it up again. And now, so this is my current menu system. It's just, it waits 10 seconds to launch the other thing. I was like experimenting with how to launch the other thing. So now I have two controllers. One is the black cat. Oh, what? One is the white cat. I forget how I decided which one's which. And let's see. Actually, if I turn off presentation mode, maybe it will. I don't know how to, can I tap the screen? Ooh. Oh, I can. Look at that. Okay, so I can tap the screen of the camera. Ah, it was Jepler who did it, yes. Okay, let me switch cameras too, since I'm using this. Okay, so I've planted some corn with my white cat. I also added the ability to change the seed. So if I hit select, it's hard to see there, but I can hit select to change what I'm going to plant. So I think this is just about done. But if I get the other controller and I turn it on, because it times out pretty quick, now I can do the black cat as well. And the black cat can choose what to plant. Oh, I did want to tune, probably because my capture is not working very well, I did want to tune like just where the tile, like when you do the action, what happens there, like which one gets dug. It's a little less responsive with two players. So I have a suspicion, and this is gonna be like cause people to want me to fix this, but I have a suspicion that the read for the gamepad is actually quite slow. Like when we do the USB read, it takes like a millisecond each. So when you're doing two players, you're actually like, the reads are really slowing you down in terms of how fast you can run everything. So there might be some work there to make sure that like we're constantly polling and then like queuing up hid reports and stuff. But yeah, two-player works, which is exciting. I actually had my eldest here in the office briefly yesterday, and I was like, do you want to play your, like, it's his first video game ever. I got the grass working today, so the grass wasn't working last time. DCD says, can the USB reports go in the background? We need to. We're not currently, but yeah, we probably should. I don't think we are currently. I haven't verified that, but I think it's all blocking right now. And that's one thing to think about or look at. So our USB host API is based on PI-USB, which is what you would use if you're using a Raspberry Pi, which would be great. And let's see, it's back to product showcase, so I can override it again. Tracking cancel. Yeah, try to get the TV in. That's pretty cool though. I can just tap the camera and it will blur me. I don't know if you can hear the sound as well. I brought my universal remote that I don't use at home anymore, and now I can. The audio is already pretty high. I don't know why the output is so low. It's almost like full volume on the TV, and it's still quite low. But yeah, so that's the Chime game. I got the grass working like I want. Oh, and I didn't show it. Let me just show you how it works. So, back to the desktop before I go and explain things. So now I have a little bit more factored out. I have a world object, which is a group, and I make a player object per, right now I have it hard-coded for the VID and PID of these gamepads. There's definitely work to do about like auto-detecting gamepads and kind of normalizing it. Tim has done some of that work that I haven't looked into yet. Yeah, so right now I just have it working with 2, but like now it's factored out, so you could just add more and more. Like it might slow down, but and I don't think I got the like layering right. Oh, that worked pretty well actually. It may not work well for the other one. It's not perfect. But yeah, yeah, so I've factored it out. I have I have now player objects, and the players take the world and they just say like, hey, do this to the world or that to the world. Does the audio go through the HDMI cable to the display, or have you run it separate with the 3.5mm cable? It is running separately. So I have, this TV's kind of old. I got it at Goodwill. But one reason I got it is it actually has like RCA inputs for left and right audio that work with the DVI signal. So it's like the TV's old enough like that I can have like separate analog audio input. So I've got, I actually had this cable that's a 3.5mm to left and right RCA, and that's what I'm using. It is not going through the HDMI cable. Good question, and I should be clear about that. Okay, so now my players have ticks and the world has ticks, and then I refresh, and this refresh will pause. If I manage to do these two things fast enough, the refresh will delay to slow the game down. And then I increment frame number and I go around the loop over and over and over again. So now the player sets up a bunch of stuff. And here's where if you're a different player, it sets your palette to be a black cat. I haven't tuned it that well. I think the black cat could be better, but that's not really my strength. This active seed is now the seed packet that shows up when you hit select. I don't know, the black cat's got it there, and it actually chimes when you change it too, which I was kind of happy about. I'm like pretty happy with where this is at. I want to do a menu system because I was like, if I have this other menu at the root code.py, how do I get back to it? I don't have any way of like exiting this game. And I think it's like it will be the game's responsibility to like kick you back out to the menu. So that's what I'm thinking about right now. Yeah. Tick reads the gamepad and then decides what to do. This is a lot of the same logic. It's just adjusted so that it's like for a different instance. You have plenty of time to implement live. Select is switching through different seeds. Oh yeah, the menus. Yes, I do have plenty of time for the menus. Although I just like was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I would kind of like to do the Celeste thing too, but and then I was going to show the dirt stuff. So I have these bit masks. So for every tile, there's like 9 subtiles, 3 by 3, and I have bits for each one of those. So it's basically where the dirt should show. So the dirt is now underneath the grass. Kind of an absurd statement to say. So you hoe one middle one, and it clears it out. So all 9 subtiles are now dirt. But then around that, for the 8 tiles that are around that center tile, like all of the edges near that center one get marked as dirt as well. So we now have this grass neighbor states, which is a bunch of zeros. And then when you hoe a particular coordinate, it does this bit mask manipulation per tile. And actually, let me just uncomment this. I was pretty happy with this debugging stuff. So I think, yeah, it's this stuff I'm using for the menu is using set next code file, which somebody added like years ago, but it's pretty cool because you can say like, hey, if you reload, like still run this other file. So I just did an auto reload by saving my file, and I'm still in my game, even though my game is not code.py at the root, it is code.py in the folder. Where are the prints going? So the prints are going here. The prints that I enabled are only if I do something. So here it's saying, oh, I'm hoeing this address and like one left to it. This is like the bit mask, and then this is the tile number that it translates to. So I have this big long list of state to tile. So all left and all top is tile 0. All top is 1. And if we look at, do I have it open still? Bitmap references 2. This thing that the asset pack comes with, it's like, okay, this first tile here, all the top is clear and all the left is clear. So I have this big long, yeah. The game might be faster with the prints. Yeah, I think I do have tinyusb prints going too. It's okay. I'm working on a demo. I'm not working like the end all be all game. But if I do, let's see, if I do that one and we get our debug prints, now we can see that we're getting more interesting combinations like this one and this one. So that's kind of like the skinny middle is these 2 tiles, which is pretty cool. So it took me a while this morning to get that working, but I think I like it because it looks more polished. Although I don't like that when you start the game, it's all green. It's just like plain green. So I kind of want to like introduce some plants, like some like weeds and stuff. This is not really slowing anything down. These prints are just if you do the hoe, which is, I just commented up. I'll just comment it back out. Metro RP2350 Metros are out of stock. Could I fake it with the 2350 Feather in one of these? You could. Yes, you can definitely use that to do the picodvi side, and you can actually do the USB host just hanging off one of the feather headers too. We have, and I need to order, I'm going to add some more of these to my cart because I think I have one of each right now, but I could really use more. I need like 3 of each. Actually, these might be useful as well. Do I have one of these? Like if I could put 2 of these on a breadboard, I'm gonna get some of these. I just add things to my cart in case I'm gonna do it next time. Micro, I wonder, I don't want a SMT inline breakout. I don't want a mini B breakout because mini Bs are the worst. But these ones with the like pigtails, you can see it, I've purchased it before, and I'm gonna get like 2 more. These are great for like if you have you know, headers on your, if you have headers on your feather, you can plug these in and get USB. So that's what I was thinking with, and I'll drop it in the chat too. Oh, I have this cutie pie that's detecting when my hand's on my mouse or my trackball, and so that one's great. And then I was actually using this Type A plug one as well for going into the Beagle. I have a second one. And then what's this? C breakout. Oh, interesting. Oh, horizontal. Oh, I purchased it before. Doesn't mean I couldn't use a second one. Oh, interesting. Huh. Yeah, those breakout ones are quite nice. Plug breakout. They've come in really handy this week. Reversible Type A. Oh yeah, do we have? Switchable Type A. I actually should get a breadboard-able Type A as well. All right. I think I'm going to turn on my AC because it's warm in here. Hopefully this isn't too bad. Let me know if it's bad. Hopefully that's not... Is it bad? Does the sound bad with the AC on? I might have to use the... If I keep talking, it'll be less obvious. Yeah, the mic is right on my shirt, so it shouldn't be too bad, hopefully. There's this reversible Type A, but I really want a Type A plug. Like this jack, I think can just go on. I think it's possible it's able to get in the breadboard. It's not good for solder breadboards. The pins are too long. Okay. Huh. Kind of surprised there's no USB cable. Straight Type A jack. I think Noe and Pedro do a lot with these things. Right angle, micro V. Here I am shopping Adafruit. Ah, switchable C to A's. Also, why is PewDiePie monitoring your trackball usage? You've got me curious. So, I talked about this, I think years ago when I set it up on Deep Dive, but I set it up so that when my trackball, so I have a CMD, I think it's a CMD PewDiePie that is wired to a, maybe you can you see this in Benchcam? Yeah, you can. So the PewDiePie is here, and this wire goes up to this. It's like copper tape that I've like knocked off a number of times, and it has plastic tape over it, and then my trackball. But when I rest my hand, you can't see the light. There's a debug light on here. It basically presses a key switch on my keyboard, which allows me to set my keyboard up to do other actions when I'm doing that. So I can actually put my hand on here and then use my right hand for my mouse clicks, instead of having to press with my, always pressing with my trackball buttons. Yes, did the... What's this breakout do? Switchable A to C. I don't think I have that switchable A to C one. Type a plug, but I really need a socket. Okay, so this is a upstream plug. Switch each of the 4 wires on and off for a variety of... For tapping into the USB signal or monitoring power voltage, keep all the switches on and probe the labeled pins on either side. That would be nice. I will add that to my cart too. Okay. Desktop, yeah, sorry. Auto macro mode via cap touch on my mouse, that's right. Sorry, I just put one of these in my cart too. Did you see a cable with pins on the other end of the... Did you see a cable with pins on the other end of the cable? Those have those, and I put those in my cart. Those are great. That's what I've already been using, is these breakout cables. They're great, especially if you want to put USB host on something that has pin headers. This is the way to do it, in my opinion. In fact, I think the Teensy 4 folks also suggest using that. Okay. All right, it's 10 minutes to 3. I got to get out of here right at 4. Any questions, or should I work on the menu? I think I want to work on the menu. Although I don't... Oh, you know, I do know how to get back to using the menu. Let's do the menu. It's in code.py now, and... How am I going to do this? Right now, I'm just going to hard code it. So I'm going to say Chime Garden, Celeste, I made folders for this. So I now have Celeste, Chime Garden, Display Ruler, and I was going to do diagnostics as well. Chime Garden, Display Ruler, and diagnostics. And now I think what I want to do is I want to say select or next program equals none, while next program is none. Print for program in programs print two spaces in the program, and then I want to do a clear. So I think I'm hoping that because I'm just gonna, I think I'm just gonna do it as a terminal program. What I'm picturing is just a list with an arrow next to the one that's selected. So, prefix. Right, so we could do a space, or if I equals selected, prefix is that. Prefix. And then, oh, I'm not even doing code.py. I'm running the wrong thing. I think if I do Control-C, then I get it. It's going too fast. Which I think what we could do is we could say last selected equals -1. And only print. Ah, come on. I wonder how we could, oh, you know what? We can inspect the dimensions of the terminal, I think. So that should at least, yeah, and then I'll have to hook up the, gamepad stuff. But, hi Jono. That shouldn't be too hard. It's gonna be a little wonky, but like we really do need to figure out like a gamepad library thing, but I haven't looked at Tim's stuff yet. So, in fact, I could factor it out of the other one. Factor it out of my game. So, I wanted to figure out how to do a clear. And I want to do a clear before, what is the VT100 for clear? I think it does work. VT100 escape codes, clear, or put S this. Let's try it. Oh, I put it in the loop. I don't want it in the loop. There we go. So we still have the title bar. Does the alert beep work too? Like the VT100 alert beep? I don't think so. And then this is interesting because do we need one more print to get up to the top? Yeah. Interesting. So we need to know how many things there, and we may actually want to wrap too, but we can do that later. Okay, so let me steal from here this bit here and copy. And this time I will not put it in the same file. This is how I do a lot of coding, is actually, let me do it from here. No, I'll do it from here. One thing that I did, and maybe I'll show this in just a smidge. I want these folders to operate in isolation so that if you have like games that have different versions of libraries, then it kind of works. So what I added at the top of Chime Garden is that we change our directory and then we also change our sys-path. So sys-path impacts all of the library imports. So that allows a game to like only use its versions that are in its subfolder, which I think is neat. Get gamepad state from a device. Okay, that seems, I think this read here is the thing that takes time. And I think what I want is, now I need to find my devices. Which is what I do down here. And should I let any device do it? I guess keyboards should work too. And I do think, you know what? You can set the contents of the title bar. That works too. I wonder if this program has favorites. So you could say like F1, F2, favorite 1, favorite 2 as well. Cool. I'm excited about thinking about this. So, and this programs list we could find automatically as well. So, in fact, we don't need to do this beforehand. We can just say gamepads is empty. For device in here. Oh, so I also added the ability to see where a device is. So if I do I do actually want a little bit of state. Pass button state. Equals pass. And I'm going to do this as a, so what I can do now is I can print device dot port numbers, and I also need device dot bus. And then I can say location equals. Oh, you know what? I think I do have an address as well. I have like a variant of this code already. And then let's say is that what I want? My brain's thinking too far ahead. I'm thinking about how do I integrate with keyboards as well. Okay, so this should now and the clear worked. And we're printing enough because yeah. How do we find out how high the terminal is? I care less about fitting on my output there, but on the TV it'd be nice if it printed right. I was thinking about this, like having a curses style library for doing terminal stuff. Oh, and of course, because we're printing to the terminal, this debug output never shows up. Oh, huh. I guess what I do is I comment the clear out for the time being. And then here I can see that it's what it's printing out. 1 and 1,2. And then what we say is hi, Hams Labs. On a bus to my mother's to visit for the weekend. I hope you have a good visit. Maybe set the cursor to an alternate area for the debug output, like on the right-hand side. Yeah, I'm not sure that would work. Yeah, this is where I don't have that much terminal UI knowledge myself, which I'm excited for people to play with and be able to do. There's like a surprising number of VT100 commands that are supported. One thing we talked about actually is adding cursor support. There is an internal cursor, but it doesn't show you on the screen where it is. FoamyGuy made an initial PR for doing text or coloring inversion. And I kind of like said, oh, but if we did it this way, we could actually do colors. So I'm hoping FoamyGuy is on the coloring terminal quest to do that. I think that'd be really neat. I'm just going to say C equals gamepad read. And Getting a phone call, which I'm sure is spam. And then I also want to say if supervisor runtime dot not serial connected has bytes available. Is that what it is? You know what? I have it in my original select. So if you have a keyboard connected, which I could actually do, the arrow keys come in. So in serial, yeah, here we go. So in our menu, let's just do inputs. So this is kind of merging in all of the different sources, and then we can say like left and right won't do anything. So I'm going to yank a key. I'm going to take a gamepad out, and I'm going to send the debug output to the serial port. Yeah, maybe we need. One thing I could do is I could make this not use terminalio and do prints. I could actually have a separate terminal that I'm running for this. That would be another way to do it. That way it wouldn't show up on my USB serial output. I don't know, it's fine. I can just turn the clear off. Okay, so if tuple object has no attribute read on 31 or in gamepads, that's because the tuple's the key. This thing doesn't care about key. Okay. Def read self. Return none. So the gamepads aren't going to work right now. But if I type on my keyboard, oh, it's not working. Did I break keyboards? Darn it. I think that's the right. All right. Can I control C? No. My keyboard's not working. It should come in as serial input, although I'm not sure why it's not. Maybe I do gamepad. And okay, print gamepad state. It's going to be gamepad object has no. Oh, you know, I have both a library and an object, and they're both at the top level. is not defined. USB is not defined. No configuration set. There we go. Okay. This state. So I think what we want to do is if self.last state is none. Actually, you know what? No, go here. And then if this state dot down and not should I have it be on the falling edge or and I want to do the like move the cursor down command. And I'll should I make it be start? What do you think enter is? Or keypad being broken, were you referring to the USB keypad log in non-functional in FruitJam firmware or just in the Python code? So what I expected is that when I plugged the keyboard dongle in to just start getting character inputs from the keyboard, but that I wasn't reading any serial bytes input from that, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why I'm not getting like this serial bytes available. Actually, no, you know, I should be able to do it this way too. If I just do oh, you know what? Maybe that's my problem. But it should work from here. Down, left, or yeah, so I want up, down, up, down. Okay, so A is up, B is down. So I'm just going to say if C equals, what do we say, A was up, then it's the selected equals the max of 0 and selected -1. I do like Copilot a lot. I think that's right for capping it. And then notation of it. Yeah, to view the string. Because I'm doing key codes that are not visible. Hey! Okay, so \n should be select. Next program. And then we should break out. We don't need this sleep. I don't know why this sleep is there. Okay, so now I can do it here. It's starting Chime Garden. Oh, because I'm I'm setting it. I'm setting it directly. And I'm going to be a little ambitious and not have a delay anymore. All right, well, we're in Chime Garden, which means we actually have to unsticky it, we have to Control C. And now we can do up, down, left, right, and hit Celeste. Ah! So it had an error, so it kicked me back to the menu, which this program could handle that as well. You can actually read the backtrace. Like, I think we store the backtrace too from the previous execution. It said no module named Pico8, so I'm gonna crib. I moved it. So I'm just going to steal this, and you can see my should CircuitPython do this question mark there. But for Celeste and code.py, I'm going to do that. And it should be, oh, it's not sticky because I had an error. So now I have to go into the menu, and actually, is it this one? Okay, so it was really quick. Which I don't feel like it should be. Is it bouncing? Like, it could be. I might need to debounce it. Using the traceback library, I forget. I would have to look it up. How to get the previous traceback. Is that the function of the clear? Okay, so it still failed. No module named image load. Okay. So this is good. This is the isolation that I did. So I actually now have to copy image load from Chime Garden to Celeste. But I think I want to do that. And it's interesting that I'm fixing it. I don't really want to go through the menu again. One thing I was thinking about, and I put this in the brainstorming issue, was like, it would be nice if this program remembered the last program I ran, so that it was like, even if it kicks me back to the menu, I could just hit start and then go to the next one. And this is definitely touchy. Like, I don't get why it's... Like, I can't just press it once. Like, I'm producing too many, like it's bouncing. I don't know why. There. Got it. And it crashed again. Although it says no such file directory Pico8 font packed BMP. So I think this problem is that I have an absolute path. Yeah. Pico-8 font paths. So now I need to actually move this here. Okay. And then does this code.py have any loads? Okay, it's relative. Okay, so let's just use this. Still no such font file or directory. Pico-8 font packs. Let's make sure we're synced. What do people think? We're still failing in load font 259. Like we changed it. Oh, I moved it away. So it's still relative to the... What? I don't know what file is for an imported library. Interesting. So we could actually make this smarter and make it relative to that. We could look at how Python would do this. Like, how do you package a resource with it? Could it remember in RAM? Do you need a file? Imagine using sleep memory, but now you have me curious if there's anything that survives code ending erroring and doesn't write to flash NVM. I was trying to decide how to do this. I was thinking RAM, but then again, would it be even better if it was in Flash? Like, if you turn it off and back on again and you start in the same place, that might actually be the better way to do it. I was thinking about how to bounce between different programs. Because like in theory, we could have like an editor as well. Hey! Okay, so I haven't fixed this yet. I haven't fixed this to do gamepad either. It would be cool if I did, but I haven't yet. So I'll just Control-C it, and we'll get back to the demo. Maybe I should make it less touchy. Let's see if display ruler works. No. I like this idea, though. I'm liking... Okay, I go into display ruler. I open... I mean, I have this problem that I have a bunch of code.pys open. And I also have to copy this isolation code every time, which I'm like, should we do that? Like, just whatever, like, you limit yourself to whatever folder you're running your base file is in. That's like a pretty big change, and you can do it. Interesting, my HDMI signal stops. Oh, it's because display ruler turns it off. Because this has the thing. Interesting. So display ruler should probably put us back in the mode that we want to be in. At least auto reload goes back to the thing we're doing. We could actually get ourselves into like 2-bit mode. So if I like Control C now my menu is in 2-bit mode. And now I could do Chime Garden in 2-bit mode. Actually, I kind of want to do that. Oh, so Chime Garden is reinitializing the display. Teeter, teeter, pumpkin eater. Okay. So display ruler works. So the whites are really dim on these low pixel modes because it fills the remaining bits in with zeros. It doesn't mirror the high bits into the lower bits to get like full color range. It's a problem we have in ADC values when we take 12 bits and make it 16. Somebody just fixed this when we take RGB 555 and make 888 out of it. And yeah, it's a very common, like if you're expanding bits, you actually have to mirror the high bits into the low bits to actually get your increasing range. HSTX doesn't do it. Is there a risk in writing to flash NVRM too frequently, but always at the same place like this? Yeah, so if you're writing to NVM, it literally is like the same address that you're writing from time to time. That's true except for ESP IDF, because the ESP IDF implements it a different way. So the other thing that I've been thinking about, and actually we have time, we could maybe do it. The other thing I've been thinking about is a second partition. I think Jeff brought this up. But a second file system that is writable by default, even when I'm plugged in. And I was thinking about calling it saves. So in addition to having /sd, we would initialize this. We would set aside maybe like a meg, set aside a megabyte, mount it automatically as saves. What do people think of that? So we would have a file system writable on the internal or on the SPI flash. And then that's where all of the different programs could save their state. No, it wouldn't be a RAM disk. It would actually be like a chunk of the flash. So like right now, CircuitPy is taking up the entire portion of flash after the firmware, but maybe we don't want that. Maybe we actually want a second file system that's writable for saves. I kind of want to do that now. I was thinking about like being able to save the like garden state, the state of the garden on for the Chime Garden, so that like, you know, across boots you can like just drop back into your garden. DCD says yes. A writable file system is great. Timon says, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. We did something along those lines for Flower, which had a similar problem to solve. ADCC says, good idea. Would we try to have another mass storage USB endpoint as well? So that is a trickier question. So we've tried to do multiple LUN mass storage. Yeah, and saves would be accessible right from CircuitPython. So I think we could make it read-only to the host. There's probably bugs around that, having a second LUN. But the problem is that the host is not going to update its vision of the world as it changes. So you basically have to restart and re-plug in your device to get the latest version from your computer, which is still better than not being able to get it at all. But yeah, that would be the caveat there. Is there enough memory to save New Jersey? So it could be the SD card, like a memory card in game consoles. Yeah, so yes, SD card, we could use that for that too. But do we need to require an SD card? Or could we say, oh, you want to save your game state or whatever, only like save to internal saves unless an SD card is present? Or both places, as Timon says. It gets even trickier when thinking about how, like, what if we want to edit programs solely on the device? So maybe you want like in your saves, you actually have different Python files that you're editing there, and like, how does that work? That's what G did for Flower. The problem with that is that SD cards are way bigger than internal flash, which, so like, yeah, it would be great for one megabytes worth or whatever, but I don't know. It's interesting to think about. The other thing we could do is yeah, that's an interesting idea, that like the launcher could deduplicate and pick like the latest version. Adafruit sells very small SD cards. Probably not worth buying, but I do actually want to do auto mounting SD cards as well. I also think that would be cool. Like the FruitJam and some other boards have dedicated SD card slots. Why not see if the like detect pin is down and just do it all internally? And in fact, I think like we have SD card IO and stuff. Like we have most of the logic in C already, I think. Second SPI flash. Unstable folder for dual access files. Mandatory SD card? Nah. I don't want to do that. It's already got like 16 megs flash, I think. Like it's a pretty big flash thing. Writing SD cards or internal flash are both slow. Reading SPI flash might be a little faster, but we haven't gotten SDIO working via PIO yet. Cloud saves. Right now this is not connected at all. But yeah, maybe cloud saves. What do I want to do? What do I want to do right now? I kind of want to do... Well, let's try the favorites thing. Title. There is a way to do it. You know what? I should be looking at docs.circuitpython. Now I wish we had the like 8 megabyte music file for the theme. Big boost for internal flash is the XIP cache. As soon as you give people sound and video, they go off. Yeah, I believe that. Well, that's why I was thinking like one would be saves, but then again, like it would be cool to be able to modify like all the game assets, and then now they end up on the saves partition too. Thinking about like Pico 8 and how you can edit bitmaps and stuff, which I think would be really cool to be able to edit bitmaps. Terminal. I think we say set the terminal bar to this. Okay. Escape. This is not rendering right. Display ruler, code.py. I think escape is this. This. See what that is. Can we plug extra storage on the EYESPI? I don't think so. Hey, look, it worked. Interesting that it didn't do Chime Garden, Celeste, Display Ruler, Diagnostic. And then it's actually like showing other things through it. I want to be a little bit fancier, and I want to just pretend to do INP and programs. Can you see? Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Like ideally, we'd have like a box, maybe that. And then favorites join. How's that look? So there is like a 1x10 connector on this prototype. That breaks out some stuff. No, it does run all together. So let's space separate it. If we could do an inversion, we could do F1 and invert it. And that's kind of neat. Let's oh, nothing else is working. Huh. It works in here, but it doesn't work there. Like I'm not ending it correctly. Xterm set title escape codes are different. They are what work in my console. So if you look here, like they are being set here as well. I'm not. My other prints are not going. Why isn't my? Oh, I need a backslash. It looks like. There we go. Neat. I like that. So now if I go in here and I type F2. Oh no, I don't have an F key. Is that where it is? That F keys? I don't remember. Xterm ends the title with \7. Although I guess, I wonder if should I have F if I detect keyboard and that's probably too confusing. Like I'm just thinking about doing favorites from how would I do favorites from a gamepad? I think the answer is you don't. You just sort the favorites first. I think that's kind of neat though. Should we just make sure that diagnostic works too? It doesn't. It doesn't, and now my debugging's all messed up. Select to menu. Hold select and D-pad. Oh, but no, like if you do select, that's with this controller, select is on my left thumb. I like the compass idea. I think you could like hold start and do that, or you make A go from the menu and start and then direction for favorites. The other thing, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself too much because I was thinking this would be cool as a like image selector too, so you could actually see pictures of every program. So in like a programs folder, it would have like some small BMP that like the menu showed up instead. The other thing you can do that I like, the pattern that I like, is this idea of the like you have to hold it and it has the like progress bar where it circles around. So maybe I don't know if there's like a Unicode version of that, but like you could say like here's A and B, C, or A, B, X, Y, or whatever. I don't know. This is, I think, proof of concept enough. The other, oh, you know what? here's a trick. So we can get access to the terminal. Let's get out of here and let's go in. Import display.io. Display.io dot CircuitPython terminal is a group. Dang. Is it in supervisor? Or is it in terminal.io? Font and terminal. We don't have access to the terminal itself because we could write directly to the terminal.io terminal and then not have this problem. Do we not make that available? That would be cool if we did. Oh, I didn't look on supervisor, did I? We have a reset. So there's get previous traceback. And runtime. Does runtime have it? No. I can fix it. I can, you're right. Does that make sense? Would it make sense to do that? I mean, I need it. I would use it. Terminal.io. Up. Oh. I do like the idea of doing cheat codes. Supervisor. Shared. Display. Terminal. Here's the group. Supervisor terminal. So we have access to the font. Huh. Doesn't look like we exposed that. What do people think? We probably should. We probably should make that available. Should we put it on terminal.io or on supervisor runtime? Probably terminal.io. It's not going to, that's the only way it'll be available. What should we call it? Terminal? Or, yeah. Does that make sense? All right, I've done a lot of changes, so I'm going to back up my drive before I do this. Now I feel like I actually want to put it in a separate repo too, with a README and stuff. I'm picturing like a games bundle sort of deal, where you have like, you can just dump a zip full of games, and then the menu just lets you select from the menu. Okay. Yep. Thank you, DCD. 10 minutes to go. Anybody have final questions? I'm doing a backup here, which is great. we can finish FruitJam stream. Already backed up earlier. Paste. Okay. Is terminalio always full screen, or it can be a window into the screen? You can construct your own terminal and have it smaller. You give it a tile grid, and then terminalio is doing the interpretation from a serial stream with VT100 commands to tile grids. 2 tile grids, one for the status area and one for that. Okay. I've ejected. Oh yeah, I could try to fix that bug too. There's a bug around it. Okay. There you go. So you have access to the group. And I think you can. I think there's a function to reset its size. You can use it when it's not the root. Not saving default DVI bus clock DP defined for the FruitJam. It's possible. Right now I'm initializing it myself, which is probably what I need to do. Oh, I selected Chime Garden. Oh, you know, we should do a REPL. REPL should be on there as a selection. Although you can Control C into it. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that worked. Oh, interesting. Adafruit MagTag project selector. Ooh, I'm going to open that up. Thank you. I thought that we might have done this before, like somebody added it. Was that using PyLeap app downloading for list guides? I don't know. Okay, so if we're in our menu, now we can say import terminal IO, and then let's just call it T. terminalio.terminal. T.write. This is debugging. This is debugging. This is not. And I think terminal IOs know how tall they are. Maybe only the group knows, actually. Does a terminal tell us how tall it is? No. It does not. It just says right. The tile grid would tell us. It's kind of annoying, but that's okay. Oh, and of course, I have to save it. Let's see. Oh, and I'm in the REPL. Can't convert string to int on line 76. String to int. can't do my print isms. Nice. Thanks for doing that, David. Almost. I'm not getting new lines anymore. Or, there we go. My debugging still goes there too. Yeah, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's why I really just need my own terminal. Oh, I don't know. I have debugging. I haven't disconnected it from the regular printing. Just my clear is going there. Cool. Well, I will think about it. Why is that? Why is it printing that now? Is that down, up, left, right? Am I getting different codes now? Any tips or hints for pulling out the CircuitPython interpreter runtime to play around with it on a PC? So we have a Unix port. I don't think it runs on Windows, but we do run some tests using a Unix port. It's the MicroPython version. So you could take a look at how to do that. David says, you need to define a format where each learn guide for the FruitJam provides an icon, display name, some info for a joystick is needed. Then you have a bootstrap code that lets the user select project. Yes, I think that's a great idea, and that's why I was like, I think I'll work on that today. Because that format is dictated by this menu selector thing. So I've got 4 days that I'm working next week, although it's really 3.5 or 3, because I have a dentist appointment and a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. And I'm not working Friday, so. And then the following week, I'm here Monday just for stuff, and then I'm gone in Tokyo. So something to do before we leave, but we've got some time for this stuff too. Okay, I think I will wrap up. So thank you, everybody. This has been another deep dive. Here, I'll tap that. Deep dive with Scott. Thank you all for hanging out, watching me work on the FruitJam. I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be neat. Oh, I didn't do the F codes yet. I'm going to figure out the F codes and figure it out. Is it straight MicroPython? Any changes? Look at the Unix port in the CircuitPython repo, and it'll have some stuff, but a lot of the native stuff won't be there as well. It might be more specific in what you're interested in. Let me know what you think about saves. There is an issue about this stuff. Take a look at the CircuitPython issues. If you want to support me, go to adafruit.com, purchase hardware there. The FruitJam is not available yet, but we will get it out at some point when we're happy with the hardware. So keep an eye on that. Sign up to be emailed when it's available. Hang out in the Discord. You'll have an idea of where it's at too. I will probably get the next rev before it's productionized, so I can test it too. So, although I'll be gone, so we'll see. Thanks preemptively to DCD for yeah, I tapped the camera to focus on the TV. Thanks in advance to DCD, who usually does timecodes. Thank you also in advance to FoamyGuy, aka Tim, who's going to do deep dive for the next 3 weeks, and then I'm around for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks, and then I'm on paternity leave. So just be aware of that. And thank you all for hanging out. It's super fun to see everybody excited about this. I'm excited about it. I was like deep in the USB weeds, and I like fired up Chime Garden again. I was like, oh yeah. And then I had Ari, my son, here, and I was like, here, play this game with me. And he was like, still like, he's never held a controller before, so he's still learning it, and he's pretty young, but pretty cool to share that. So thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. See you on the Discords, Adafruit at ADA